The afternoon sun lowered over Riverbend, a bustling African city where new glass towers rose beside dusty open-air markets. Motorcycle horns and distant church bells mixed in the warm air as Austin Peter balanced a crate of tomatoes on one shoulder. "Careful, my brother," old Mama Chica warned, waving a crooked finger from her stall. Austin smiled. "If I drop these, your stew will suffer." He set the crate down gently, wiped sweat from his brow, and picked up 2 bags of rice. At the next stall, Sidney Peter leaned against a post, sunglasses gleaming, tapping on his phone. 3 men crowded him, whispering about a weekend card game. "You bring the cash?" one asked. Sidney flashed a roll of notes, confidence masking nerves. "Easy. Tonight, I double it." Austin caught the scene. "Sid, you promised to save this month." Sidney's grin faded. "And live like you?" "Counting coins." Austin lowered his voice. "Winning quick money is not the same as building a life." Sidney scoffed and walked off, leaving a faint scent of cologne and worry behind him. 2 streets away, bright murals marked Kira Adams Community Empowerment Center. Children practiced reading beneath an open veranda while teens assembled recycled bikes. Kira, clipboard in hand, paused as Austin arrived with donated produce. "Austin, you saved my lesson plan." He placed the bags on a table. "Healthy snacks matter. Growing minds need fuel." She laughed softly. "You always think ahead." A shy girl tugged Kira's sleeve. "Miss Kira, can Austin tell us how he balances so many bags?" Austin knelt. "First, plan your steps. Second, trust your legs. Third, never rush." The children giggled and tried balancing books on their heads. When the laughter settled, Kira and Austin stood alone. "This center survives because of people like you," Kira said. Austin rubbed the back of his neck. "I do small things." "Small things change worlds," she replied, eyes warm. Night fell. Neon lights flickered outside Mango Lounge, where Sidney joined a smoky poker table. Cards slapped, chips clinked. His hands trembled, yet he doubled bet after bet, until a final turn stripped all his winnings. "Another round?" the dealer asked. Sidney emptied his pockets. Nothing left. Humiliation burned. He staggered into the street, jacket hanging loose. Meanwhile, Austin locked his modest room, counting the day's earnings, just enough for rent and their mother's medicine. A knock sounded. Sidney burst in. "Bro, I need $15,000 now." Austin's face fell. "Sid, that's everything I have. I'll repay tomorrow." "Please." Austin sighed, pulled open a tin box, and placed ragged notes in Sidney's shaking hands. Sidney mumbled thanks, eyes darting away. The next morning, Sidney wandered to the center, head pounding. He found Austin fixing a leaky tap while Kira guided students. Seeing her kindness ignite admiration and jealousy, he forced a charming smile. "Miss Kira, heard you help dreamers. Maybe I volunteer." Kira offered a polite nod, but Austin caught the hunger in Sidney's gaze and felt a chill. Later, Austin confronted him behind the building. "Volunteering requires heart, not escape." Sidney's jaw tightened. "You think I'm hopeless?" "I think you're lost," Austin answered softly. Sidney stepped back, eyes moist but defiant. "One day I'll prove I'm more than your shadow." He turned and disappeared into the crowded street, leaving Austin staring after him, fear and love wrestling in his chest. In the fading light, church bells tolled again, promising grace yet warning of storms to come. Austin tucked a folded spreadsheet into his back pocket and studied the dusty plot beside Riverbend's new highway. Trucks groaned past in both directions. Too many loads, too few reliable couriers. "There's a gap here," he thought. He exhaled, dialed his uncle in Port Harcourt. "Uncle Bayo, you still have that old pickup?" "The blue one? It barely crawls. It will crawl into something bigger. I want to start a logistics company, local to local. All I need is a loan for minor repairs and diesel. I'll pay interest every month." A pause, then a gentle laugh. "Austin, your word is enough. I'll send 40,000 naira tomorrow." First steps. 2 weeks later, the pickup, fresh paint reading Peter Quick Movers, rolled out at dawn. Austin drove. His childhood friend A.O. balanced route maps on his knees. A.O. grinned. "First booking, Mama Chica's tomato crates to the new mall." Austin nodded. If we deliver on time, word will spread. It did. By month's end, the pickup made 3 trips a day, rattling but steady. Austin spent nights on his cracked phone, calling potential clients, jotting figures on brown envelopes. One humid evening, Sydney sauntered in, silk shirt unbuttoned too low. He kicked off loafers, flopped onto Austin's tiny couch, and tapped cigarette ash into a soda can. Bro, you're sweating for coins. I can triple what you earn in one hand of cards. Austin wiped grease from his fingers. You could triple it and lose it, which is what usually happens. Come drive for me instead. Regular pay, nothing fancy, but honest. Sydney scoffed. Me? A delivery boy? No thanks. I'm not living behind someone's steering wheel. Austin's jaw clenched, but his voice stayed calm. Doors stay open, Sid. When you're ready, step through. Sydney laughed, but something flickered behind his eyes, a mix of envy and fear that the older brother's coins might one day outshine his quick wins. Coffee, books, and first sparks. On a rare free afternoon, Austin entered Cafe Umoja, searching for quiet and a strong cappuccino. He ordered, then noticed Kira at a corner table, grading essays for the Empowerment Center. A curl of hair kept falling across her face. She kept tucking it back, frowning each time she smudged ink. Austin hesitated, cup in hand, then approached. Excuse me, Miss Kira. Your stubborn hair might need its own pen. She looked up, startled, then laughed, a soft, musical sound. Austin, I didn't realize ink wars require helmets. May I sit? Please. They talked about everything. Why kids learn faster when lessons include music, how potholes look like swimming pools in the rainy season, what forgiveness costs. Hours passed unnoticed. Staff dimmed lights for closing. Outside, Kira hugged her books. Same time next week? Austin smiled. Or sooner. Love grows quietly. Days turned into routine, dawn deliveries, quick shower, then Austin walked to the cafe or the center, sometimes both. They shared plantain chips, swapped favorite childhood stories. Austin confessed a secret fear of heights. Kira admitted she once failed mathematics twice before tutoring smaller children forced her to relearn. One Saturday, the center hosted a reader's picnic beneath jacaranda trees. Austin arrived late with boxes of donated novels. Children swarmed him, shouting, "Book hero!" Kira watched, eyes soft. When the crowd thinned, she whispered, "I read your company's motto on the truck. We carry with care." That's exactly how you live. Austin's cheeks warmed. Care is free. Why not spend it? Thunder rumbled. Rain chased them beneath a pavilion where they spoke about futures. Kira drew a tiny map on a napkin, her plan to expand the center to nearby estates. Austin traced the lines with calloused fingers. Dream together? He asked. Dream together, she echoed. Sydney's obsession. Sydney noticed a change in Austin, lighter steps, humming while shaving. One evening he trailed his brother to Cafe Umoja and spotted Kira waving eagerly from the window. Sydney's pulse quickened. She's gorgeous, and she chose him? The next night, he borrowed a friend's Toyota Camry, gold rims glinting. He sped past the center, sunglasses on at dusk, stereo thumping. Kids applauded the flashy car. Sydney rolled down the window. "Hey, beautiful teacher," he called. "Ever try real coffee? Imported beans on Victoria Island?" Kira's smile was polite but cool. "Thank you, but I'm closing up. Let me drive you." Leather seats. AC like a Buja winter. She shook her head. "I prefer walking." "Good exercise." Sydney revved the engine, feeling the sting. Maybe she didn't see the car clearly. 2 days later, he appeared in a tailored suit, clutching flowers and a glossy business card reading Sydney Peter, investment consultant, printed that morning at a kiosk. "Kira," he said, voice syrupy, "your center needs donors." "I know people." She accepted the flowers but met his eyes firmly. "Sydney, right? Helping the center is wonderful, but intentions matter more than donations." He leaned closer. "Perhaps dinner will show you my intentions." "I'm sorry," she replied. "I'm seeing someone." Hurt flashed across Sydney's face. "Who?" "My brother." Kira stayed calm. "Yes, Austin. And even if I weren't, honesty impresses me more than flash." Sydney's ego crumpled. He tossed the flowers into his car and screeched away, tires spraying dust on colorful chalk drawings made by children minutes earlier. Brothers confront. That night, Sydney stormed into Austin's room. "So you stole her from under my nose?" Austin looked up from invoices, confused. "Stole? Kira isn't property. She rejected me because of you." Sydney's voice cracked. "All my life, people choose you." Austin stood, hands open. "Sid, Kira and I connected naturally. There's no scorecard here." Sydney punched the wall, leaving a dent in the plaster. "One day, I'll show everyone I'm better. Being better starts inside," Austin replied quietly. Sydney's glare could have cut metal. He slammed the door and vanished into the night. A proposal forged in simplicity. Weeks passed. Peter Quick Movers added a second vehicle, an aging white van. Profits rose. Austin saved for a ring crafted by a local silversmith who inlaid a tiny piece of blue glass, Kira's favorite color. He invited Kira on a dawn delivery to the outskirts, truck bed loaded with school chairs. After the drop-off, he guided her to Hill of Voices, a grassy mound overlooking Riverbend's skyline and the winding Olu River. Mist curled around them as sunbeams painted gold across tin rooftops. "Austin, it's beautiful," Kira whispered. "Stay a little longer." He spread a faded Kent cloth. They sat sipping mango juice. Austin's heart pounded louder than crickets below. He reached into his jacket, pulled out the ring. "Kira Adams, you taught me that small acts change worlds. You changed mine. Will you marry me?" Tears pooled in her eyes. "Yes. 1,000 times yes." She laughed through happy sobs as Austin slipped the ring onto her finger, fitting like it had waited her whole life. Below, church bells chimed 8 o'clock. In the distance, the city stirred, a sound of promise. Yet somewhere in the maze of streets, Sydney shuffled a deck of sticky cards, mind spinning dark possibilities. Afterglow and ominous clouds. Later that evening, family and friends gathered at Mama Chica's stall, transformed with lanterns and paper flowers. Kira flashed her ring. Cheers erupted. Mama Chica hugged them both. "This union will bless the earth," she proclaimed. Austin searched the crowd for his brother. Sydney arrived late, unshaven, eyes red. He forced a smile when Kira hugged him. "Congratulations," he muttered. Austin placed a hand on Sydney's shoulder. "Walk with me tomorrow. I have ideas, expanding routes, hiring you as operations lead." Sydney shrugged off the hand. "Celebrate your victory tonight. We'll talk." But his stare locked onto Kira's laughter across the lantern glow, long, burning, unresolved. As the party swayed to high-life music, a gust extinguished one lantern, leaving a patch of darkness between tables. Austin noticed, but thought little of it. He kissed Kira's forehead, unaware that Sydney watched, vows of vengeance smoldering like the lantern's dying wick. Riverbend's night faded into quiet, except for distant truck engines and the steady beat of a jealous heart planning how to reclaim the spotlight, no matter the cost. The dry season heat pressed on Riverbend when Sydney knocked on Austin's door one Thursday evening. He held 2 worn fishing rods and a plastic cooler. "Bro, remember Blue Heron Lake? Dad taught us to cast there. Let's spend the weekend, just us," Sydney said, voice light, eyes guarded. Austin looked surprised. "You hate early mornings." Sydney shrugged. "I miss my big brother. We haven't laughed in months. Let's reset." Inside, Kira packed lesson plans. She glanced at Sydney, then at Austin. "It might be good," she whispered. "Come back Sunday night for dinner, okay?" Austin kissed her forehead. "Promise." At the lake. Blue Heron Lake lay 2 hours north, clear water ringed by bamboo and red dust paths. A rickety wooden pier jutted out beside an abandoned boathouse. Sydney parked the borrowed pickup. Austin inhaled pine-scented air. "Same smell after rain. Remember when you lost Dad's lure?" Sydney chuckled. "And blamed you. He still bought us ice cream." For a moment they were boys again. They unloaded. An ancient lantern, 2 folding chairs, a small crate of beer. Sydney produced a brown bottle of palm wine. For old times, they cast lines as cicadas sang. The water mirrored white clouds drifting east. After an hour, Austin reeled in a tilapia. Sydney cheered. "First catch. Here's to Peter Quick Movers founder." He raised his bottle. They clinked. Austin grinned. You could still join the company. Sydney swigged, wiped his mouth. Maybe I've been foolish. Always chasing shortcuts. He stared across the lake. I'm sorry, Austin. Austin laid his rod down. Thank you. That means a lot. Sydney continued, voice low. When Dad died, people compared me to you. I felt small. I turned anger into swagger. But losing at cards, losing Kira, those were my choices. Austin reached over, squeezing his brother's shoulder. Let's start fresh. We can succeed together. Sydney's throat tightened. Yeah, together. He managed a smile, but shadows lurked behind it. Nightfall. Darkness fell early. Fireflies dotted the reeds. They built a small fire beside the pier. Sydney poured more palm wine. Austin laughed softly. Another drink, and I'll sleep like a log. Then drink one more. Sydney's tone was oddly insistent. Austin raised the cup anyway. To new beginnings. They talked about childhood, stealing green mangoes, racing barefoot after school, scribbling dreams in the dirt. Austin spoke of wedding plans. Simple ceremony at the community center, children from Kira's classes as choir. Sydney listened, jaw tightening. A breeze rustled treetops. The moon, half hidden by clouds, reflected silver on the water. Sydney stood, picking up a thick mahogany branch he'd gathered for the fire. I'll add wood, he said. His gaze flicked to Austin's back, relaxed, trusting. Memories flashed. Kira's gentle refusal. The laughter in Mama Chica's yard. Friends praising Austin's honesty. They always choose him. His fingers tightened around the branch. The blow. Without warning, Sydney swung. The branch thudded against Austin's skull. Austin collapsed, cup shattering, eyes wide with shock. Sid? His voice was a broken whisper. Sydney's chest heaved. I'm sorry, bro, but I deserve the light for once. Austin groaned, tried to crawl, blood mixing with sand. Sydney's breaths came ragged. He looked toward the lake, silent, vast, accepting. LOL. Austin's lips trembled. Please, we can fix. Sydney's face twisted, fear, guilt, envy warring. He dropped the branch, knelt, and pressed Austin's head beneath the water surface. Austin thrashed weakly, bubbles glimmering in moonlight. Sydney forced him deeper, arms shaking, tears sliding down his cheeks. After endless seconds, the struggle stopped. The lake grew still. Sydney released his grip. Austin's body drifted, then sank gently, swallowed by darkness. Sydney fell back, gasping, whispering, I'm sorry, over and over. The breeze carried a distant owl's call, as if answering. Covering tracks. Panic surged. Accident. It must look like an accident. He scanned the pier. 2 sets of footprints, blood on planks. He kicked sand over the drops, wiped the branch, tossed it into the fire. He splashed water on his own face to redden his eyes. At dawn, he rowed the forgotten dinghy into the center of the lake, rocking it violently, shouting, Austin, where are you? He ripped his shirt, scratched his arms on the boat's rusted nails, then rowed back. He rehearsed. We fished, he slipped, hit his head, sank. I dived, but couldn't find him. Sydney loaded their gear, except Austin's rod, which he snapped and left floating, bait still glistening. Tears, half real, half summoned, streaked his dusty cheeks. Returned to Riverbend. Sunset painted Riverbend gold when Sydney stumbled into Kira's center. Children rehearsing a song froze at his wild appearance. Kira hurried forward. Sydney? Where's Austin? Sydney collapsed to his knees. The lake? He slipped. I tried to save him. He sobbed, clutching her skirt. Kira's face drained of color. No, you must be mistaken. He can swim. I dove again and again. The water was dark. He never came up. His shoulders shook. A murmur rose among the staff. Ao arrived, eyes wide. Sydney, tell us everything. Sydney looked up, eyes red, voice trembling just right. We laughed, we fished. One moment he was beside me, the next gone. I screamed for help, but the lake was empty. Kira's knees buckled. Staff caught her. Austin promised dinner tonight. She whispered, tears falling. This can't be real. Sydney pressed his palms to his face. I'm so sorry. Inside, guilt clawed, but he forced more tears. Sirens wailed outside, as someone called the police. Sydney rocked back and forth, rehearsing the lie again. We were brothers. It was an accident. Night of mourning. Word spread fast. Trucks from Peter Quick Movers lined the street, headlights dim. Mama Chica closed her stall, hanging a shawl over the sign. Neighbors gathered, candles trembling in their hands. Sydney sat on the center steps, wrapped in a blanket, answering questions with practiced agony. The ground was wet. He lost his balance. I couldn't reach him in time. Inside, Kira held Austin's spare work shirt, inhaling the fading scent of grease and soap. Her sobs echoed down the hallway lined with children's artwork, bright colors now blurred by tears. Outside, Sydney stared at the flickering candles. Each flame felt like an accusing eye. Yet people touched his shoulder, offering comfort. He swallowed hard, whispering to himself, "Stay the grieving brother. Stay the victim." But the moon, full now, rose above Riverbend, reflecting off his damp cheeks. Cheeks that burned not just with sorrow, but with the weight of a crime he could wash away. The night deepened. Somewhere beyond the city lights, Blue Heron Lake lapped quietly against its banks, keeping the secret of two brothers never. One beneath its surface forever, the other damned by the lie he had birthed beneath the silver moon. Rain drummed on Riverbend's tin roofs 3 weeks after Austin's burial. Inside the community center, Kira stacked donated books, her black headscarf still tight over braided hair. Sydney slipped through the doorway with 2 takeaway coffees. "Thought you might need company," he said, forcing a smile. Kira stiffened. "I'm fine." He set a cup near her hand. "We should lean on each other. Austin would want that. Austin would want you to honor his memory, not replace him," she answered, eyes sharp. Sydney's grin faltered. "I've always admired you, Kira. Maybe grief can grow into something new." Kira stepped back. "Stop. I'm still in mourning." He reached for her arm. She pulled away. That night, she found a single red rose on her doorstep, a note tucked inside. "You belong beside me now, S." Kira's stomach turned. She blocked his number, but unknown calls rang at midnight. Each time a voice whispered, "Don't run from love." Doubt takes root. At Austin's tiny apartment, Kira resolved to sort his belongings. She opened a metal biscuit tin labeled "My Thoughts." Inside lay a flash drive and a small journal. She clicked the drive into an old laptop. Austin's voice crackled through cheap speakers. Journal entry 2 months before the wedding. "Sydney is acting strange. Big debts, big anger. If anything happens to me, it's Sydney. Please remember I love you, Kira." Her breath caught. Hands shaking, she flipped the journal open. Dates marched down the pages. March 5th, Sid begged for money again. Eyes desperate. Asterisk. March 18th. He watched Kira like a thief watches a door. Asterisk. April 2nd. Asked me to fish at Blue Heron. Something feels off. Asterisk. Tears blurred the ink. The official report said Austin slipped. Yet he had predicted danger. Confrontation. The next morning, Kira visited Inspector Dubé at Riverbend Police Station. "I need the case reopened," she said, handing over the drive and journal. The inspector skimmed a page, brown knitting. "Why hide this until now? Only just found it. Sydney is harassing me." Dubé nodded. "We'll review the lake scene again." Sydney unravels. That evening, Kira closed the center late. Streetlights flickered. Sydney's silhouette emerged from a side alley, umbrella dangling. "Why ignore my calls?" he hissed. "Because my heart isn't yours, and it never will be," she replied, voice steady. "Leave me alone." His eyes flamed. "Austin is gone. We're all that's left of the story." "Not true," she said, backing toward the lit doorway. "The truth is still alive." Sydney clenched his jaw, then forced a twisted smile. "You'll see. We belong together." He melted into the dark. Inside, Kira locked the door, breath ragged. She pressed Austin's journal to her chest and whispered, "I'll finish what you started, my love." Outside, rain washed chalk drawings from the pavement, but it could not wash away the warning Austin had left behind, nor the resolve now burning in Kira's heart. Moonlight washed pale over Riverbend as Kira locked the community center gate. The street was quiet. Even the usual hum of motorbikes felt far away. She tightened her coat and checked her smartwatch. 9:37 p.m. A voice drifted from behind a parked van. Kira. Sydney stepped into the glow of a flickering lamp. His hair was wild, eyes rimmed red. She froze. Sydney, go home. He held up a cloth bag. I made dinner. We can talk. I've said no. For the last time. She tried to walk past. His hand shot out, gripping her wrist. You keep pulling away. Tonight you'll listen. Pain lanced her arm. She opened her mouth to scream, but he pressed a handkerchief to her face. Sweet chemical fumes flooded her senses. The world tilted, then went black. The cabin. Cold air snapped Kira awake. She was tied to a chair in a one-room wooden cabin, lantern light jumping across walls lined with old fishing nets. Rain hammered the tin roof. Sydney paced nearby, muttering. She fought panic. Remember training sessions with the children, slow breathing, clear thinking. Her smartwatch still clung to her wrist. The screen was dark, but a double tap lit the display. 11:12 p.m. Sydney noticed and ripped the watch away. You won't need that. It's just us now. He tossed it onto a table, but the impact started an emergency recorder Kira had installed weeks earlier. A red dot blinked silently. Sydney knelt before her. Kira, look at me. She stared, refusing to answer. I loved you the moment I saw you. Austin stole you. He stole everything. Sydney's voice cracked, swinging from anger to pleading. But he's gone. We can start new. Kira's heart pounded. Keep him talking, get the truth. She swallowed. Sydney, if you really love me, tell me what happened at the lake. The nightmares won't stop until you say it. He hesitated, rubbing shaky hands over his face. It was an accident. Please, she whispered, tears glimmering. Tell me everything. I might still, she forced the words, understand. Sydney's shoulders sagged. He dragged a crate forward and sat, voice low. We were drinking, laughing about old pranks. Then he started preaching again, how I could change. I picked up a branch. I only wanted to scare him, make him respect me. He stared at his hands. But the hit was hard. Blood ran down his ear. He tried to stand. I panicked. The lake was right there. I thought if no one found him, they'd blame the water, not me. His breath rattled. I held him under. Felt him fight, then stop. The silence after, he shivered. I told myself it was the only way I could ever be first. Kira forced steady breathing, though bile rose in her throat. Why tell me now? Because we can erase the past together, he said, eyes blazing with desperate hope. If you stay, I'll never have to hide again. She leaned close, ropes biting her skin. Untie me, Sydney. Let me hold your hand. We'll leave this place and start fresh. Her voice was soft, coaxing. He stared, wavering. Thunder boomed, shaking the windows. Sydney stood, reaching for the knots. Then suspicion flared. You're lying. No, she said quickly. I forgive you. He backed away, grabbing a rusty machete from the wall. If I can't trust your words, I'll make sure no one else hears them. Kira's stomach nodded. Inspector Dubé, please get my message. When Sydney threw her watch aside, it had bounced again, triggering the emergency send, a 5-second audio clip and GPS coordinates to Dube's private line. But police response in Riverbend's outskirts could take time. Sydney paced, machete tapping his thigh. Maybe the papers will think you ran off, broken by grief. Sydney, listen to yourself, Kira pleaded. Austin didn't make you small. Your choices did. He roared, knocking over the lantern. Flame rolled across the floorboards, sputtering. Shadows leapt like demons. Stop saying his name. The rescue. Sirens faint and distant. Blue flashes sliced through rain-streaked windows. Sydney spun toward the door. No, no, no. Police loudspeakers boomed. Sydney, Peter, this is Inspector Dubé. Come out with your hands up. Kira exhaled a sob of relief. Sydney's face twisted. Rage, fear, surrender fighting inside. He darted to Kira, machete raised. If I'm finished, so are you. Before he could strike, the door burst inward. 2 officers tackled Sydney, the blades skittering away. He thrashed, screaming, she's mine. She was always mine. Handcuffs clicked. Sydney's body sagged. Inspector Dubé hurried to Kira, cutting her ropes. You're safe now. Kira rubbed bruised wrists, voice hoarse. My watch. It recorded his confession. An officer retrieved the device. Dubé nodded. This will bury him in court. Sydney, pinned near the door, met Kira's gaze. His bravado drained, replaced by hollow regret. She held his stare. No hate, only exhausted sorrow. Rain hissed on the roof, extinguishing the fallen lantern's dying flame. Officers guided Kira outside beneath umbrellas. Emergency lights painted the forest road red and blue. Ambulance steps. Wrapped in a blanket, Kira sat on the ambulance bumper. Dubé handed her warm water. You were smart, setting that recorder. She managed a weak smile. Austin always said, prepare, but pray you never need it. A.O. arrived, face streaked with rain. He clasped her hands. We've got you. Paramedics cleared Kira. Nothing broken, only deep bruises. As they closed the doors, she looked back. Sydney sat in the police truck, head bowed, chains around wrists. Once, he'd been a laughing boy chasing dragonflies with Austin. Now sirens wailed over the shattered pieces of that childhood. Dawn over Riverbend. By sunrise, press vans crowded the station gates. Headlines would howl. Brother confesses to Lake murder after kidnapping fiancé. But inside a quiet hospital room, Kira rested. She listened to Austin's last recording again. The tremor in his voice, the love in his final words. Inspector Dubé knocked softly. We found your fiancé's body this morning. Divers recovered him near the old pier. Tears filled Kira's eyes, part grief, part relief at closure. Dubé handed her a canvas envelope. Evidence, chain of custody complete. But inside is also a letter you may want first. Kira opened it. Austin's handwriting danced across one page, dated 2 days before the fishing trip. Kira, if life breaks short, remember the joy, not the fear. Let truth guide you, love save you, and kindness change the world. She pressed the letter to her heart. Light spilled through the blinds, warming the white bed sheets. Outside, Riverbend streets stirred awake, children laughing on their way to early classes, trucks rumbling toward markets. Life continuing, stitched together by courage, even after betrayal and loss. And in the silence that followed, Kira whispered to the morning, we finished it, my love. The truth is free. The courtroom smelled of polished wood and nervous sweat. Sidney Peter, in a wrinkled prison jumpsuit, stood before the judge. Dark circles framed his eyes. The swagger that once defined him was gone. Judge Nwodo's voice echoed. Mr. Peter, do you understand the charges of murder, kidnapping, and attempted assault? Sidney nodded, voice hollow. Yes, Your Honor. I confess to all counts. I killed my brother, Austin Peter, and tried to force Miss Kira Adams to stay with me. A low murmur rippled through the gallery. Kira, wearing a simple black dress, squeezed the small audio recorder that had sealed Sydney's fate. Beside her, A.O. and Mama Chica sat stiffly, hands clasped in silent support. The prosecutor read Austin's journal entry to the court. If anything happens to me, it's Sydney. Tears slid down Kira's cheeks, but she kept her chin high. Judge Nwodo closed the file. Sidney Peter, your actions were driven by jealousy and greed. You stole a good man's life and shattered many more. This court sentences you to life imprisonment, with no possibility of parole for 30 years. Sidney's shoulders sagged. As officers led him away, he glanced back. Kira, his words broke. She met his gaze. No hate, only a sad finality. He lowered his head and disappeared behind heavy doors. A legacy of light. Weeks later, trucks bearing the new logo, Austin Peter Logistics, Carry with Care, rolled through Riverbend. Kira, now managing partner with A.O., watched from the office window. She told every driver Austin's favorite line. Care is free. Let's spend it. At the community center, a freshly painted sign read, the Austin and Kira Empowerment Hub. Children practiced reading beneath portraits of Austin, in overalls, balancing crates, smiling. Kira guided a shy boy through a storybook. Turn each page with courage, just like Mr. Austin did, she said. The boy's grin mirrored Austin's gentle spirit. Later, Inspector Dubé visited. The world is safer thanks to your bravery, he said. Kira shook his hand. Thank you for believing me. She placed a sealed envelope in his palm. A scholarship fund for officers' children. Austin would like that. Return to Blue Heron Lake. At dawn, Kira drove alone to the lake. Mist drifted over the glassy water. Birds chirped in the reeds. She walked to the rebuilt pier, new planks laid by Austin's friends. Clutched in her hand was a single white rose. She knelt, fingers brushing the wood where Austin had last stood. Closing her eyes, she whispered, "You still live in everything good I see, in every child you helped, in every road your trucks travel." She kissed the rose, then let it fall. It landed softly, creating gentle ripples that spread wider and wider until they seemed to touch the far shore. Wind stirred her hair. For a moment, Kira felt Austin's presence, a calm warmth at her back, like strong arms steadying her. She breathed, letting the lake's silence settle inside. Standing, she faced the sunrise. Gold painted the water, the first light of a new chapter. Kira spoke softly, more to the morning than to herself. "We carry with care, my love, and we keep going." She turned toward Riverbend, toward classrooms, trucks, and children's laughter, leaving the white rose floating, a quiet promise that love, once true, never truly dies.